Hi guys, welcome back to Zero TV. We're on episode 2 with Owen Rampha. It was such an amazing episode that we actually had the previous one, the first episode. So yes, let's welcome him back. Welcome back, Owen. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And for creating time again. We
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate it.
me
Yes,
again.
yes. So today we're continuing with your journey. So it's just so that we can wrap up exactly what are your plans now, and obviously the lessons over the years, so that we can tap into that and utilize it also for ourselves and for whoever that is listening and learning from this. So the first question I just want to ask you, what did you have for breakfast today?
Actually, I haven't had breakfast.
No?
Interestingly enough, I skipped it today.
You skipped it
It
today?
wasn't the plan. But I
I
skipped it.
You skipped it. Oh, so you haven't had anything for breakfast. What is in your mind recently?
Hey, what I want to do with Yarona in 2024, I want to also self-development. Like I want to focus on myself. There's a couple of educational goals that I've set for myself this year.
Yeah.
So that's what's on my mind lately. And also, how I can scale up some of my small business activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just we are going to tap into your plans for Yarona FM for 2024 and going forward. But I want us to talk about the time that, I'll just go back a little bit. There's a time that you were unemployed and you had to be creative. What was your biggest lesson there?
That opportunity lies all around us.
Yeah.
And there is no shame. You shouldn't have any shame in pursuing means to put food on your table, as long as it's legal.
Yes, as long as it's legal. We have
should
it.
have no
Yeah,
shame.
no, absolutely.
That's one of the biggest lessons I learned. I sat under a tree selling watermelons. I sat under a tree selling madila, asetswana.
Yes, so sour porridge.
Yeah,
Sorry, sour milk. Yeah.
Delivered it door to door in a Mercedes, actually.
Wow.
Madila in a Mercedes.
Yeah.
It was actually our tagline, Madila ga Benz.
Yeah.
And it caught fire. And I realized that the color of money is the same.
Yes.
No matter where and how you get it.
Yeah.
And it purchases the same things in the same places like anybody else who has a white collar job. So I learned that was a very big takeaway from me. I also learned about the support. We worry about what people will think, what people will say. And those people don't really contribute to your well-being, mentally or financially. The people who don't care, and there's plenty of them, who will support your business because of the quality of your product, exist. And that's what they did. And I learned that also. I learned humility. I learned how to interact on that scale, at that level, without the frills of brick and mortar and particular sales channels or processes, but direct customer interaction by the side of the road. I learned how they want to receive their product. I used to first set up my stall and go and sit under a tree under the shade. And then I realized that no, actually, you should be by your stall so that they see that there's a person who's actually selling, and you should interact with them on a one-on-one basis. So those are some of the takeaways that I learned when I was hustling on the street.
Now, in Zero TV and at Zero, we actually a finance show. I don't know if you know that. We're actually a finance company. We talk about personal finance, and we believe in the culture of investing. So how important is that for you, investing and managing money well, in terms of, in case you are in this type of trouble, also, you actually have that backup?
I think it's critical.
Yeah.
And I am the first to say that I haven't been very good at that. In my youth, I was very generous and irresponsible with my money. And I got burnt. I learned some really hard lessons. And I started to self-appreciate. I started to self-develop in that area and really start to practice savings and investing. and understanding that however much money you're making today might not be the case tomorrow. Those are some hard lessons that I learned. And I think it's very critical that while you're making hay whilst the sun shines, put away some for when the sun stops shining, and learn to make your money grow and work for you. And there's many different investment options out there that are available, that are structured formally with actual financial institutions, and others that are less formal. So I definitely now, I'm a big believer in really trying to manage your finances efficiently and really trying to invest and save for a rainy day.
Right, okay. So, now I want us to get into Yarona FM. And what are the plans for Yarona FM 2024? Because the last time when we spoke was obviously the challenges that you're having in terms of losing talent. But you were just saying, we do lose talent every day. Happens everywhere, and which is true. So now I want to tap into your plans for Yarona FM. What is the future of Yarona FM under your leadership right now? Yeah.
Well, right now we're on an expansion drive. We want to grow our frequencies and presence within the country, our national footprint. So we're looking to reach out to other sites within the country, as per also our license obligations. We are a regulated entity. We operate in a regulated environment as broadcasters. So there's certain things that we are obligated to deliver as per our license conditions. So one of the big plans definitely is to grow our reach into Botswana. Also, we're upgrading our studios. We are getting more digitally adept broadcast equipment and studio equipment, which will make our jobs easier for the presenters and make everything that we do seamless in terms of audio, content, storing it, sharing it, making it easily accessible on different platforms, stuff like that. But the key goal is to keep Yarona FM relevant amongst its core audience.
Yeah.
And that core audience is 18. Well, I'd say the broad audience at Yarona FM is the under 35s. That is our broad audience. But our core audience, the audience that we speak to most of the time, is aged between 25 and 29. That's who we zone into as a broadcaster regarding the content, the music, the competitions and promotions, the stuff we do.
Yes.
And our events. That's who we really try and zone in on. So it's to really own that market and become number one in that demographic consistently. And it takes a lot of things to achieve that. But that is the big goal going forward. It's to increase our national broadcast footprint. And the reason why is because we operate in a market. Our marketing market in Botswana is still heavily reliant on volume and not necessarily niche and specifics. It's one of the things that I've picked up, especially when it comes to radio. One of the questions you get all the time is, how many listeners do you get on a weekly basis?
Yeah. These would be your clients.
Not necessarily who is listening. And we are trying really hard to educate the market. We've been at it for years to try and understand that there's specific audience nuances and niches that will provide value depending on the product that you are selling. And one of the examples I give, you can have a station that has over 8 million listeners, but will make less revenue than a station that has only 1.5
Absolutely,
million
that's
listeners.
very true.
Because that is wholly dependent on the quality of the audience
the listeners, yes,
on each station. And by quality, I'm merely speaking of disposable income and spending power.
Are they going to buy?
Exactly. So it's been a challenge to kind of like drive that message home, Kwano. But we're getting there. I mean, we are seeing businesses who are aligned to Yarona because of the Yarona FM target audience.
No, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I think even with our business, that's what we always try and preach, that it's not necessarily about the numbers. It's about who is watching and are they actually going to buy and who is listening, and and are they going to actually buy and not necessarily the big numbers.
A wise man taught me, don't count the people you reach the people who count.
Yes. That's it. That's actually it. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, yes. And that's a good one, actually. So I want us to talk about the biggest challenge that we have as leaders, internationally, everywhere, right now, is managing Gen Z. Funny, I actually asked this question I asked my previous guests. I asked Mabu, I don't know if you know Mabu Nteta. I asked her about how can we handle this, because I think we are not understanding them. My opinion is that we don't understand them and we need to understand them. And Mantakwana was saying no, and I think it's upbringing. You upbring that's her with it's like old school that has to work. And Mabu's answer was we need to understand them and involve them in the conversation so that we can get an understanding. What's your view on that and how are you dealing with it? Because when I'm sure you are even in the mix of it, because that's your target market, and at the same time they're the ones working for you too. So
yeah, I'm of the view that we do need to understand Gen Z and appreciate the unique circumstances. I mean, they're very technology-driven.
Yes.
Demographic. These people were born into smartphones.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
they don't know anything else.
When it comes to things like access to information, back in the day you could get away with a flawed argument. You can't do that with Gen Z. Gen Z will call you out because they have access to information, to all sorts of information.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So I think you appreciating the unique environment that we operate in today, and also appreciating the attitudes of Gen Z. I mean, there's been studies on this. Gen Z are all about individuality. You cannot manage Gen Z as a herd. You have to develop a management attitude and approach that achieves your goals as a business, as an organization, but it's shaped around each of their individual nuances and unique personalities and viewpoints. Also, I think you must learn to listen to Gen Z.
Yeah.
You can advise, but trying to bulldoze your way through Gen Z is definitely a recipe
for disaster.
For failure. Yeah. I think listen, take what is of value, fix what is not, advise, and show practical examples of how this works or why this won't work. You just saying it and expecting Gen Z to take your word for it, that is not their character.
Yeah.
That is not how they roll at all.
They cannot be managed the way that we were managed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they're totally
cannot.
different.
You definitely need to upskill yourself in terms of new approaches with dealing with that specific demographic of individuals. I've been fortunate because of the career that I'm involved in, which is broadcast media and entertainment. One of the primary consumers of our product is Gen Z.
Yes.
So I'm always around them. I'm always listening to them, always having conversations with them. So it gives me a bit of an advantage in terms of what approach to use when it comes to leading and managing. And communication is the single biggest key point for them. They
How
love
you
transparency.
Yeah, transparency.
They love transparency. They struggle with accountability. That is something I've picked up about them. So also you need to guide in that direction, that you need to appreciate that actions do have consequences.
Yeah.
You can't just breeze your way through life.
And do whatever you want to do.
You want. There's certain statutes and even regulatory issues that must be adhered to. And if you don't, you're going to get a rap across your knuckles.
Yeah.
But this is without you being overly bearing.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, look, situations do call for you to crack the whip as a leader. But I think we need to appreciate tone. We need to appreciate sentiment. We need to appreciate what the possible fallout might be if this hardline approach is taken all the time. You know, so we learn as we go. I mean, I've learned a lot over the years. You know, it's a constantly evolving process. I mean, I had the opportunity to manage a team in Zambia where the cultural differences were completely different than here in Botswana.
Yes. What were they?
Small things like so at our station in Zambia, our radio station in Zambia, we had a security guard, right? And the security guards, well, actually, let me say, it was a security guard and a member of the police force, because broadcasting is a very sensitive thing, especially during the political season. You know, people get really emotional and sometimes carry out irresponsible acts. Like when you interview a member of the opposition at your station, you will have his followers and his cadres outside the building in
That's interesting.
serious numbers, you know, singing and dancing and chanting. And sometimes, you know, situations may get out of hand. So stations in Zambia do have police protection. But what I used to notice is that when I was driving into the building, into the compound, the security guard would stand up and salute me. And one day I had to stop him and ask him, dude, there's no need.
I'm not the president.
Absolutely no need, you know. And then in the office, everybody addresses you as boss or sir. Everybody speaks in a very soft tone towards you. Everybody has this general aura of, I would describe it as fear and almost reverie.
Or submissiveness or some sort, yes.
Overly so.
Yeah.
Which I don't subscribe to because it then feeds your ego as a manager and a leader. And that's what leads you to make decisions that are not objective,
Not informed.
that are not informed, where you feel infallible and unquestionable, and you end up messing up. You know, I don't need that. I need engagement on a level playing field. Yes, I may be head of organization, but I do encourage robust debate so that everybody leaves with an understanding of why we're doing things the way we're doing. Like I said, some situations do call for you to stand up and say, do as you're told.
Yes, we're doing this.
End of chapter.
Yes, we're
right?
doing this, yeah.
And then some situations, there's a learning opportunity. There's a learning opportunity for your team. And you must go through that with them. You know, but when I was there, I picked some of those up that, wow. If I ask these guys to jump, they'll just look at me and say, how high? And that is not what I want. It's not the case with Gen Z. Right now, right here, forget it. You're not going to tell Gen Z, jump.
They're not, they're going to look. That's another thing.
I'll ask you why, dude.
Yes. So what sort of leader do you think your team would say you are?
Me? Oh, man, my team think I'm a pain in the neck. Make no mistake about that. My team thinks I'm a pain in the neck. I think now that I've been back with Team Yarona for, let me see, April 2022, April 2023, that's 1 year. It's almost, is it 1.5 years now? Yeah, they've learned to understand and appreciate me. That's what I've seen. I've seen the tide turn in terms of attitudes towards me. And I think that's because I've remained consistent in my management style, where I've always tried to explain it to them. That listen, when you do good, you're going to get a pat on the back all the time. And you will be encouraged to do more of this.
Yes.
But if you do bad, I will call you to the side and point out to you that, listen, this was a bad move. And you need to quit, you know? And you need to stop that. And everybody gets an opportunity to do the right thing. You will get your chance to do the right thing once, twice, 3 times, you're going to get a crack from the whip.
Yeah.
So they're beginning to understand and appreciate that about me. I've also become more communicative in terms of certain things that may not be the norm at other organizations. But I try and really keep an open book as far as I can regarding information sharing within the operations of the company.
Yes. Open door policy kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm very supportive of my team's endeavors within the organization and outside of the organization.
What is your plan? You know, what do you want to do? Yeah.
You know, we definitely have never stood in the way of staff development.
Absolutely.
Even if those development opportunities are outside of Yarona FM, we've never been the company to stand in your way.
And your training has continued there? The way that you train?
Yes, actually, my next training program is February.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my next training program,
This is internal.
It's actually, I've completed the internal training. What we're now doing is the annual, I try to run an annual presenter training program, which allows me to have access to fresh new talent in the background all the time.
So these are guys just coming into...
Oh, we're going to call out for applications. You're going to go through the program. Some of you will be selected who do well, and you'll be fed into on air. You will be given contracts.
Yes.
That's the system that we have at Yarona that we've been doing for years. And it's simply because the business is unpredictable in terms of talent. Talent can get a better offer next door.
Yeah, so you should have a backup.
You can never be caught wanting, without any. You must always have a plan for a seamless transition on air when talent leaves, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So that's why we run this training program, which I'm back to heading it now.
Yes, of course, the brains behind it. Yeah, so if you could say you have failed as a leader. Have you failed as a leader? Give an example of that, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there have been failures in my leadership where some decisions were simply short-sighted, especially in the early days of my management career. I was boisterous, and I was excited about the position that I held. So I think you could describe me as a bully. So yeah, there's definitely been instances where there were bad calls made and took too long to remedy them. But I'm not sure I'm able to go into critical detail.
No, not
but even certain business decisions, there have been some that were short-sighted and were poorly thought out. And definitely there were, what is it called? Uncomfortable consequences.
Yeah, consequences of it. But I think it happens with every leader. Yeah,
absolutely. I think if you learn from the lesson, if you learn from the mistake, mistakes do happen.
Yeah.
In fact, most recently, even at Yarona, I think the first year of my return, I had a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I was very uninterested in what people call micromanaging. I believed I have a management team. We've got a strategic vision. Everybody's bought into it. I've delivered this vision, right? And it must cascade down from management to the rest of the teams.
Absolutely.
I expect to see the initiative, the ideas from my team that are triggered or are gathered from this strategic vision in the implementation. So I took a step back to
to observe and let them work
and focus on other strategic areas of the business. But along the way, I realized that there's certain levels of upskilling that needs to happen around this very same vision to the management team, so that we can definitely deliver efficiently and properly on it. So now I found myself rolling up my sleeves and getting into the trenches.
To micromanage a bit there to fix.
So the mistake I made was not acting swift enough when I picked up some of those challenges that were being encountered. I'm like, no, let's give X an opportunity to
implement.
Implement. And then I started seeing the negative impact it was having on the team overall. And then, eventually I moved into action. Yeah. That is definitely the most recent thing I can point out where I believed there was failure on my part as a leader. I should have acted swifter. But we're back on track.
No, absolutely. So was that your favorite failure? Do you have a favorite failure?
How can anyone have a favorite failure?
Let me tell you
My favorite failure has nothing to do with the Yarona FM. It's actually from a business perspective.
Yes. No, that's
A
what I
business
mean. Yes,
perspective,
that's what I
yes.
mean. I don't even necessarily mean Yarona
I'm going
FM.
to tell you the story.
Yeah.
Without going into names, I'm going to tell you the story. A long time ago, around 2003, maybe 2004, there's this fellow, all right? He's a mate of mine. When I started DJing, I was doing a lot of house parties, like private gigs, birthday parties at the house. And he would hire out his sound system, which consisted of 2 speakers and 1 bass bin and a couple of really basic CD decks.
Yeah.
And he would hire them out to me. I think the rate was about $300 or $400 at the time. And I would play, would make this money, and then he'd set up the sound, and then he'd come and collect it. And I was giving him a lot of business because I was busy as a DJ back then. One day he comes to my house, sits me down and says, "Yo, Mr. O, I really like you. We work well, you and I. I actually want to set up a fully fledged sound hire company, like an audio business, and I want you to partner with me. I think you're the right guy, and we can do big things together." At the time, there was a particular audio company that had just set up in Botswana from SA, and they seemed to be cornering the market in terms of corporate events and stuff like that. Now, please take into consideration, my star is rising as a DJ. It's 2003, 2004. I'm playing every weekend, from Thursday to Sunday, all over the country. I'm looking at this dude at my house. We're sitting, and all I see and all I hear is, this dude wants me to be offloading speakers at the back of a truck.
That's what you
setting
are
up, that's all I was seeing, setting up sounds, and then at 4 a.m. in the morning, rolling up cables. You know why? Because that's what he did. After my gig, like when I got booked for a gig and he was setting up sound, that's what he'd do, right? He'd take these speakers from the truck, set them up, he'd stay until the gig is over, roll up the cable. I looked at this dude, I said, "Dude, have you ever seen Fresh or Black Coffee rolling up cables and offloading speakers?" That sound company is currently the largest audio company in
the
Botswana.
country. When you so how is
This dude quit his day job. A couple of years after this offer, he quit his day job and put all his energies into this. It is currently, the largest audio and visual company
in the country.
In the country.
You want to share the name? No.
I'm not gonna share the name. Like, I kick myself
for that
every year.
Of missing of that opportunity.
Like, dude, how can you be so short-sighted?
Yeah. So why is it your favorite failure?
Because it was a big lesson in learning how to identify opportunities and moving away from face value and deep diving into the actual opportunity. It was a big lesson in that. And I think it's also one of the reasons why when I had the opportunity to take up the consulting job in Zambia, when we grew up, what did we know about Zambia?
Yeah.
We were told it was a poor economy, all that stuff, right? I could have face valued it and said, nah.
Not again.
Zambia,
I'm not doing that.
A guy with my experience really should be taking consulting gigs in SA.
Yes.
But because I deep dived into it and looked at the opportunity for what it was from all angles and what impact it would have on my resume,
absolutely,
the experience it would give me. At the end of the day, whether it was SA, Zambia, or Malawi, it was an opportunity to then test my skills in a brand new market, which was also bigger than Botswana. Right?
Yeah.
So that making those decisions is partly because of what I learned from that mishap, that short-sightedness, that lack of vision back in 2003.
Yes, that's it. Would you say this was your career highlight? Zambia was one of your biggest career highlights? Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely one of. I mean, moving into a completely brand new territory with so much competition, like with the amount of radio stations that exist in Zambia and the different regulatory environment, moving into that and succeeding on such a scale is definitely a huge highlight for my career.
Absolutely.
For a guy like me who had the singular vision of being a broadcaster and a hot DJ, to having gone and achieved that
in a country like that,
is definitely a huge highlight.
Culture differences and all that. It's amazing.
One of the other highlights definitely is my contribution to getting Yarona to where it is
Absolutely,
today. I mean, we started from humble beginnings. You know, but
at
because
Grandpa, apparently it was in Grandpa.
yeah, the first test broadcast was in a room with no Grandpa.
Yeah.
You know,
So
and
Dumi was telling us, yeah.
to have developed it into this influential powerhouse radio brand, because you know sometimes when you're in the system, you don't really get the opportunity to appreciate the impact you had.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
When you don't reflect,
And, absolutely. And then until people start telling you, and then you start remembering all the things that you guys did as a radio station. I mean, we were the first guys to actually, you know, open the door to commercializing music in Botswana.
Yeah.
That institution, Yarona FM, we used to sponsor album launches.
Oh, that's what you mean by commercializing.
We used to sponsor album launches. We were the first guys to really take a definitive decision to support and play and showcase local, contemporary,
Talents,
urban music. We were the
You're
first
the first
to be
ones.
consistent with that. You know, and that gave birth to pretty much most of the household music artists that you know today.
Yes.
ATI,
all of them, yeah.
Zeus.
That's how we
Scar,
get to hear, absolutely.
You know, V. I mean, V used to come to Yarona FM studios with his single, his whatever music single he's planning on releasing. And we'd have a powwow, myself, Dumi, Robbie Rob, and V. And he would ask us to listen and give him feedback on. And we'd tell him, okay, bro, this is weak because it's missing X, Y, Z. And he'd go back and fix it.
Amazing.
And then
this is why he's the artist he is.
He can vouch for this any day. This happened consistently with a lot of these music. Right?
So this is why he's the artist he is. He actually
absolutely.
asked for feedback. What you guys think, and asked the pros. Wow.
So it's all those things, you know, even just eventing, what we did in terms of event promotion, event marketing, you know, being able to support those initiatives, which gave platforms to our local artists to perform and be seen and be heard.
Yeah.
You know, the tours we used to do, we really did a lot for the landscape,
for the industry.
You know, and only when people tell you, does it hit home? You know, because it's in the era of social media.
Yes.
8 comments under a post.
Yeah.
On your page as Yarona FM. Like, I don't even listen to you guys anymore.
Yeah.
That's enough to dampen your day,
Yeah.
right? But there's 320,000 weekly listeners who haven't made any comment under that post, who are listening to you and loving what you do every day.
But they're not necessarily saying it. But doesn't mean they're not. But they're still listening, because if they're not listening, they can just switch.
That's what I mean. When you're caught up in the system, sometimes you forget to smell your own flowers.
Flowers, yeah. But you know, you've been given a lot of flowers, you know, by
yeah, they never tell me to my face.
Yeah,
they don't. They don't.
But
I'll just be passing by and I'll see a podcast and I'll hear my name on it.
Yeah, shame. Would you appreciate being told to your face?
Everybody appreciates being appreciated.
Absolutely.
You know
Every human being
likes to. But look, I'm just kidding. Some definitely have stepped up to me, shook my hand and said, you know what?
Thank you.
Owen, if it wasn't for you, I would never have achieved ABC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's simply the concept of paying it forward. Someone gave me an
opportunity,
gave me guidance, gave me leadership, gave me support.
So you have to pay forward.
So
always.
It's only
so how
fair.
do you motivate your team?
I have to stay positive for my team. I have to believe that the best is yet to come all the time, because that's the message I have to keep driving. And I do believe it. I'm not just saying it because it's a mantra.
Yeah.
It's what I believe. But I do motivate them by seeing them on one-on-ones, even at group meetings. I remind them how great they are.
Yeah.
You know, there's little soft incentives that I put in place at the station for high performers. You know, I try and reward as much as I can. It doesn't always have to be cash money.
Oh, I thought it was cash.
No, it doesn't always have to be cash money. There's other,
could be other
stuff.
treats.
Yes, other treats that we do. And I'm constantly upskilling them. I really believe in the constant pursuit of knowledge so that one can improve their skill sets.
Yes.
You know, so I'm constantly giving my teams opportunities to upskill and improve.
And that's what they do need, especially as they're growing in the business. They'll need to be refined here, and that's the only way they will know how to do it well.
Effective talent management is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because talent, creatives inherently are unique people.
Yeah, you guys are a unique bunch.
Yeah, they operate on a plane that is different from everybody else. So I think I've been fortunate to be a creative, and then to ascend to management opportunities. Yeah. So I have a lot of insight. I'm fully aware that they are inherently insecure about that talent. They're constantly questioning themselves if they are good enough. They thrive on validation. One bad word can ruin the entire week.
Is this consistent among all creators?
80% of them, I can safely say.
This is so interesting. Yeah. So you know what to do.
So they like to be appreciated for their work, and at the same time, they're very protective of their work. So if you critique their work, you have to find the most acceptable and receptive way
to say it.
To critique.
Oh, that's sensitive.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
And you can imagine. There's thousands of people who are telling them, you are bad news, you rock, you kick ass, you are amazing. And then you're the one guy who's saying, hey, listen, man, you could have done that better. And I can show you. But you see, that's the thing. As long as you are constantly able to prove that this is how you could have done it better, and then deliver a practical example on how it was done better,
then they'll hear you.
You're winning.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's just a word, but yeah, man, that link, it was a bit bland, It sucked. That's not good enough. All you're doing is crushing them. And then it starts to be a disconnect. But my mom tells me I'm
good.
Bad news.
Yeah.
My girlfriend tells me I'm
my
bad
fans.
News. My fans. You know what I mean?
How do you mean?
This guy's a hater. That's when that conversation starts.
Yeah.
This guy's a hater. This guy doesn't want me to progress. This guy doesn't like me. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I have a job to ensure this entire business is successful. You are a major component of this business success. Why would I hate on you?
Yeah.
Because when you win,
I win.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line.
So you got to understand that.
I got to understand it at a very, very early age. And mind you, I went through the school of the hard knocks when it comes to management styles.
Yes.
Previously, I'd spoken about Daniel Feist.
Yes,
that guy was a proper nightmare.
Yeah, he was
but
hard.
He brought out the best in us. When I was starting out as a presenter, when I was starting out learning everything about radio, that guy brought out the best in me. But I also learned from him that there's a certain approach that I don't want to really entrench. And when I started off as a manager,
what you're saying is there are also aspects of him that no. No.
When I started off as a manager, unfortunately, I had picked up some of those traits.
Yeah.
And it took one encounter with a particular presenter back then who called me out on this, and I reflected and decided to change.
And you reflected, so you took it.
Great leadership is about self-reflection.
Yeah, you took it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So what would you say is a good company culture?
For me.
For you.
So, some people actually have a problem with this about me. I'm usually the most least serious guy in a room.
Is it?
Yeah, that's just me. Serious bores me. But maybe it's also because I've been in the entertainment industry for so long.
You're creative. Seriousness bores creatives. Yeah.
But I understand what needs to be done.
Yeah. But doesn't mean you don't know what's going on.
I understand what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. So as much as I may be making light and making light moments and, horsing around half the time, when it comes to delivering what I'm supposed to deliver on,
you deliver.
So for me, a company culture that encourages the creative freedom and expression of its employees and teams, but holds them accountable to the deliverables.
Yes.
In a fair and objective manner. That is what I would subscribe to and support and thrive in.
In that kind of culture,
I can't stand vindictive and malicious management practice. I abhor it.
Yeah.
And I will always err to the side of the employee when dealing with a situation that shows signs of that, of malice.
Malice. How do you deal with that kind of employee, for instance?
How do I deal with that kind of manager?
Yeah, or manager, yes. Because there are some destructive ones.
I can tell you now that, I mention this a lot. We believe in staff development and training at Yarona.
Yes, so then you
So even just last year, I took the management team on a HR, training course that dealt with emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
It was specific to emotional intelligence. And hopefully, lessons learned from there address issues of that. So, showing someone the error of their ways and giving them the tools to repair.
Exactly. That's what I say. Because sometimes so a person just needs to be empowered.
Indeed.
That's it. All right. So that's your stuff. So who are your favorite people to follow in business? Who do you look up to?
Dumi Lopa. I think that one's obvious.
No, you mentioned it. Is there anybody else? No, I mean, Dumi is amazing.
Dumi Lopa,
Yeah.
definitely, right?
Yeah.
There's
And the late guy that was training you guys at GenZ FM. David, is it David?
Shane Handley.
Yeah, Shane Handley.
No, Shane Handley's not late. Daniel Feist.
Daniel Feist.
Yeah. But that was more from a programming perspective. But in business, in terms of business leadership, business success, I definitely do look up to Dumi Lopa.
Yeah.
There's someone else. I won't mention their name, but it's a. I've never seen anything like this, actually.
Why are you not mentioning their name? Give him his flowers. Give him his flowers. Or her.
Yeah, they're property. They're passionate about property. And
Investments,
property development,
development,
property investment,
yeah.
And I've seen them grow that portfolio from
Scratch.
into what I can describe as an empire, over the years.
Amazing.
And that kind of tenacity is very inspiring.
Yeah.
Who else? Yeah, there's a couple of other people in the entertainment space, for example. I like what V's done. How V's parlayed the music into different investments and opportunities. How he quickly understood that I don't just have to sing and sell
CDs.
albums, right?
Yeah.
I can actually take this and deliver a message and get a brand or a sponsor behind this and do X, Y, Z. I've seen how he's transitioned into that. I've loved watching how our artists have now started putting up their own events without waiting to be hired, which is an impressive,
amazing, actually, isn't it?
Absolutely
Everybody's
an
hosting their
impressive
own.
feat.
Yeah.
To have that
Good
kind of
development,
self-belief.
Yes.
So stuff like that impresses me.
Yeah.
I pay attention
Yeah.
to things like that. I like watching people diversify from this first entity into
Others
that might be related, that might be unrelated, and just keep on growing.
Yeah. That's actually really quite interesting on how you actually observe. And Dumi is quite so you're not going to mention the property guy? No. What?
They won't like it.
Oh, they don't like
Some of these people move.
Yes, they want to be
in silence.
That's fine, and that's fair, isn't it? It's okay to respect that too. What is the one idea that experts in your field say or do that you disagree with? It's just a common thing, and they all agree, and when you disagree with. Good, everybody's going this way. When you're thinking, no, guys, but there's also this way.
Ish, what is it? Let me think about that for a second.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, that basically that your best talent is expendable. I don't subscribe to that. I believe you should do everything in your power to keep your best talent in the business.
They're replaceable. They're
yeah.
not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a common trend.
It is in every organization.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As much as talent and staff and teams must appreciate that if they do mess up, they will be shown the door, right? I don't think it must be an overarching theme that must be hanging over people's heads. And in our business of media and entertainment, you know, it kind of like exists. So it's the one thing I don't particularly subscribe to fully. I do appreciate that we are all replaceable, all of us. You know, if I leave tomorrow, within a month, there will be another GM.
But there will be not another Owen. This is what you're saying. There will not be another Owen.
You know, I think we must do our best to retain our best talents without compromising our values in the business at large. I think that's really what I'm trying to say. It must, like I said, it mustn't be this overarching theme that, listen, anytime you can be.
And also the cancel culture thing as well. You know, what's your view on the cancel culture?
I don't really think cancel culture exists.
Yeah, you don't think so?
No, I don't really think it exists. I think it's a construct in self-important people who think they wield this power over your future.
Over your career.
And your career. I think you shouldn't give people that kind of power.
Really so it's you giving them the power, basically.
I think you really shouldn't.
Got you. Future of radio. What do you think the future of radio is?
Radio's going nowhere.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Unlike most mediums, radio is the single most adaptable content medium out there. And for as long as radio is free, and in terms of free to consume, radio is going nowhere. What radio needs to do is what it does best, which is to adapt and assimilate all these modern developments and changes like it always has. That's what radio has always done. The original social media is radio.
It's true.
Back in the day, people used to gather around a radio set to listen to a radio drama. And then after that, they would conversate about the content that they were listening to.
That's true.
Those are the cold, hard facts. Over the years, radio has evolved and continues to evolve and needs to evolve to stay relevant. But here's where radio really remains powerful, is this ability to connect on a deeply human and emotional level. You build relationships with radio talent because of their relatability and the ability to express and spotlight your daily life experience. You form this bond. They become part of your daily routine. And that human emotional connection is what keeps radio going. Yes, you can listen to your favorite playlist on all these platforms. You're going to miss that connection.
We do.
And as long as the presenters, the talent is doing the right thing, they're not going to lose you as a listener.
It's true.
I will also give you an example about how powerful, in terms of influence, how powerful radio is. You will get these marketers today who will say to you, we've moved our budget to social media. We just feel like
radio is dead. It's not.
You know, you'll get stuff like that.
We're still listening to radio.
We just don't think you have the listeners that we need. I mean, they've shifted to social media. Cool, right? This is the spiel they'll sell you when they're busy knocking down your budgets during the sales pitches. The moment a broadcast goes out on air that sheds a brand or a client or an individual in a negative light, you will be amazed at how quickly the phone lines will light up and the complaint will come in.
So what you're saying is people are listening.
we heard you say this about our brand and we would like you to retract. And it makes you wonder, what's the fuss since no one is listening?
So it is.
Everybody's moved to all these other platforms.
But we're listening.
Why is this an issue that, you know, you felt like someone said something negative
if no one
about
is
you,
listening.
if no one is listening. So it's an argument, it's a position of convenience when they're trying to make you feel like, nah, you guys actually don't count, you don't matter. Radio is extremely influential. Currently, what radio does is provide credibility in this social media age. And that's another one of radio's wins. Anybody can post anything on social media without fact-checking, without worrying about ethics, without worrying about impartiality.
No one is being managed.
Without worrying about giving somebody the right of reply. So anything can go. All it takes is a picture. It's a picture of you and me, right? At a business lunch at one of these establishments. And someone can post on social media, Lerato and Mr. O, hot couple for 2024.
Imagine.
And then it catches fire on social media, right? What radio provides is the facts. Because we operate in a regulated environment. What you see on social media, you can go and verify it on radio because we are not allowed
to do that.
To broadcast, mistruths and unsubstantiated rumor. You know?
There's somebody you are accountable to. This is what you're saying.
Because the internet is unregulated, you're getting a lot of instances now where people are on podcasts talking a whole mess about other people. And some of those people aren't given the opportunity to clear it up. And even so, it doesn't matter. Once some of these things are said about you, you attempting to clear it up, most of the time, depending on whatever has been alleged, doesn't really work, you know, because people make up their minds about you.
That's true. So you'd rather just leave it,
You know, radio affords credibility because we have to do fact checking. Our license will get taken away from us. You know what I mean? So as long as we're relevant in terms of the content, as long as we research our audience and feed them what they want, and as long as we deliver our content where our audience is, because that's the beauty of radio. You listen to our daytime terrestrial broadcast, you can catch our best moments online on our platform.
Absolutely. And you can, because, you know, nowadays you can actually see what you guys are up to and what you're going to talk about on social media. And we actually tune in because you've talked about that. And, you know,
and that's the
nowadays, that's it. And we actually tune in on our phones. We tune in our TVs because you guys are actually said, you know what, we're going to talk about this. And also, are you already on YouTube, Yarona FM?
Yes, we do have a YouTube channel, which is actually one of the things I'm going to throw my energies into this year in terms of developing it from a content perspective and growing it to get more subscribers. Because currently it's struggling. I'm not even going to front about that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But we will definitely change
I mean,
that.
I found myself watching the interviews that were being done on KFM on YouTube. You know, but they did not Ranakas, and those were really good. So I was wondering if you guys are going to get into that as well. All right. So we're coming to the end of our interview. Owen, thank you so much for coming. But what's next for you?
Woo.
Owen, not Yarona FM, not anybody, you. Owen.
Honestly, I love this radio thing. I love this management thing. I love this content management, content creation, content delivery thing. I love marketing. I love sales. So what's next for me, really? I want to grow in that space on a pan-African level. I still believe I have a couple more years within me where I can step out and join maybe one of these huge conglomerates, these media conglomerates in Africa. I might even stay on with YMH because YMH intends on being a huge conglomerate in Africa. But I'm saying pretty much I'm very willing to step outside of the Botswana market once again. But the big thing for me really, I want to complete my master's.
Self-development in what?
And get a doctorate. Like that's really my goal.
Oh yeah.
In the next 3 to 4 years.
Master's in?
In marketing innovation.
Marketing innovation, wow. And a PhD in?
I haven't decided what the doctorate is going to be in. But
we are an academic, deep down in there, we're an academic.
Yeah, look, I mean, I didn't do too badly at school.
Yeah.
I was just a renegade, you know what I mean? But I didn't do badly at school, you know? So I enjoy academics. I just hate math.
That's the only thing? Yeah. Don't worry, it's
really,
overrated. I'm a maths person, it's overrated.
Really, I'm almost 50 and I have still to get this whole thing why we need to multiply matrices and worry about the rule of Pythagoras. You know what I mean?
It's got its people, and we also don't understand why lawyers have to be saying such big words.
But yeah, hey, actually, I might even surprise myself and get a law degree. I'm very passionate about
reading.
And
Yep.
but about law.
About law, yeah.
You know, I really am. So
why not?
Maybe.
Why not?
But yeah, my big plan is self-development. Is to look. We live in Africa.
Yeah.
And Africa is still caught up on
that academia. No,
it's still caught up on what the papers behind you say.
Yes, we're big on that.
You know what I mean?
In this country, actually Africa, not only here, the whole of Africa are very big on. Oh, so what did you study?
Yeah, so
once you're a doctor, PhD,
I'm acutely aware of this.
Especially there in Nigeria, they would really, they would really take you into consideration. I know in Zim too, they really take that seriously. But yes, no, thank you so much for coming to Zoro TV. Owen, I don't know if you have any last words, but
let me part with this. Something that sometimes I live by this, sometimes I forget, but when I remember, it works out perfectly. I picked up a quote from a movie called The Great Debaters. It stars Denzel Washington. You should watch it.
Yes.
So it's a great movie.
I will.
And there's a line in there. It went something like, we need to do the things we have to do today so that we can do the things we want to do tomorrow.
Yes, that's his line. That's Denzel Washington's line that he said he also makes his kids repeat it every morning before they go to school.
Powerful.
Yes.
We need to do the things we have to do today so that we can do the things we want to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
How do you get it? Sometimes I remember it. Yeah. Sometimes I forget it. But when I do remember it,
you get up. Yeah.
It works out fine.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I think a parting shot, believe in your dreams. Believe in your dreams. Action those dreams. Focus on those dreams. Speak them into existence. Laser focus on those dreams. And you'll be amazed at what will happen. You know, I have experienced this. Even Dumi was saying the same in his interview that I caught about, you know, trusting that this will happen, but not sitting down and hoping
that it will happen.
It'll happen. Getting up and acting, you know. So
action is the secret behind the success, and laser focus, like you're saying. Keep visualizing it. This is what we picked up from you, from the whole interview, even from the first episode.
You know my only regret, the one thing we didn't discuss in detail was my DJing career. Kind of had a phenomenal DJing career. One day, maybe next year, I'll be back.
Yes, you'll be back here and we talk about. I think that's a whole episode on its own.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Owen, for coming. We're so appreciative of you coming to our show. Thank you for sharing your story. A very inspiring story, and I hope everybody else is also inspired by it. And you know, we just learned so much from the story, your ups and downs and the lessons, and you know, and you being on the streets under the tree. That's a very humbling experience, and that also shows that, you know what, you can achieve anything you want.
Thank you.
In your life. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye for now.